Hey y'all, what's up? Happy Friday. I got like a burst of energy. So happy Friday. Happy pre Bound for Glory Day. Happy pre Mickey James and Trinity Day. I don't know, we're just making up these days. All the things. WWT Live, the Friday edition is coming to you right now.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Dylan, like you's ready today. What up, Dylan? My name is TK Trinidad. Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. My name is TK Trinidad, and we're gonna get into it because also low key. Shout out to my homie who, if you notice, the lights are like he set up the lights and everything, but it's mad hot. So I really want to get the show over with because I'm gonna have to leave to just put the AC on. Anyways, welcome to WWT Live, the Friday edition. The professor. You know what? I'm gonna make a note because Professor, you deserve a drop, and I have been slipping. So I'm gonna make a note this weekend that we need to get a professor drop because I already know what it sounds like in my head. So I just need to get the people going, and we're gonna make this happen. So on Monday, you can expect a professor because it's going in the note. I have like literally 3 notebooks of lists to do. Plus, I just put up a whiteboard.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a professor drop is happening. Anywho, what up, Professor? Happy Friday.
Wow. Well, greetings and salutations. We said happy Bound for Glory weekend, happy Trinity Appreciation Day, happy Mickey Appreciation Day, and shout out to Swerve Strickland, whose video for Big Pressure, the remix, has officially dropped today. So yeah, it's all kinds of things, and he's actually doing the Nana dance in there as well. So
nice. There
cool.
It is. Yeah, I think I saw a pre-drop. So yeah. Kudos to, or shout to them for that. The man, the myth, the legend. Seti Said's in the building. What's good?
What's happening, everybody? And TK gonna have that clone working this weekend.
Oh yeah.
That clone gonna be sweating.
Oh yeah.
We got a glimpse of the clone Wednesday afternoon, but not secrets out. Secrets out.
Yo, if I had a clone, you do not even know. Like, man, I don't even know if there's like a podcast even like put this in a box, but it's like crazy how you can like do so many things, and you work these so many skills, and then people are starting to note these skills, and then you want to like no this, and you can reference it. I don't know if any of this makes sense, but yo, today I had some conversations, and I'm just like things are happening. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Ruthless Lala, man, that interview. We'll talk about that, but we're not alone. Another man, myth, the legends. He likes titty milk and cookies. Booty Mayfield, what's good?
What's going on? How you doing? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
It's been quite a week. A lot of filming, a lot of editing. So I'm exhausted and excited at the same time. So I guess you could say I'm excited.
Excited. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh well, low key. So Dylan, FYI, I don't know if you guys even know this. Like Dylan is our unofficial producer. So he is going to be helping us. So Dylan, if you think of some drops, then like please, like let's get them out. So he's our unofficial producer. So shout out to Dylan in the chat. But yeah, we got a lot of things going on this weekend. Who wants to lead it off?
Well, you said it's Bound for Glory weekend, and indeed it is Bound for Glory. The biggest card on the Impact calendar hits tomorrow night from, of all places, Chicago. Can we just stop and say Chicago, for whatever reason, this year has been like the wrestling city? Obviously, AEW and Punk, and then this is not the first time that Impact has been in Chicago this year. In fact, if my memory serves me correctly, I don't want to get that wrong, but I feel like Trinity made her debut in Chicago for Impact.
I think so.
That
No, yeah,
weekend.
you are right, because
Mhm.
shout out to, I believe, Ring the Bell DS. He did the interview, and he's out in Chicago. So yeah, you are right.
Yeah. So Chicago's been doing quite a bit. Of course, next month, Chicago will host the Survivor Series, but tonight is all about the biggest card for Impact's year, Bound for Glory. A lot of things are planned for this, including, of course, a world title match with Alex Shelley against Josh Alexander. But on the women's side, which is what we tend to focus on, you've got the Knockouts Women's Tag Team Championship, which I think is going to be an amazing match. MK Ultra, which is Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich, against Deonna Purrazzo and Tasha Steelz. And then the Knockouts Championship match, Trinity versus Mickie James. It should be an absolutely fantastic weekend for Bound for Glory.
What is that knocking noise? Is that little Professor?
Oh, it's my son, and I'm
okay.
Just
cool.
Excuse me.
No, you good. You good. Go forward. Oh, by the way,
no,
we have to
help him go forward. Excuse me.
Booty, I forgot to mention that we have to work on that shirt. I meant to send you a text, but then I got distracted.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
The professor muted, and oh wow, that go forward conversation must be something. Bobby said
to be a fly on the wall in the professor household.
I know, right? Bobby saying, I was thinking maybe Deonna Purrazzo and Tasha Steelz wins Impact. I mean, so what do you got? What do you guys? We can do like a little prediction thing. So what are your feelings? Who do you think has this?
Which match are we talking about?
The tag team match for Impact.
I think the champion's retained, honestly.
I mean, I think so too, but I think so too. No, actually, I don't. I'm hoping Tasha Steelz and Deonna Purrazzo do, because Deonna Purrazzo does, because I think it'll bring. There's just, and it's unfortunate. I think this is just life, but I think they'd bring more eyes to the title. I kind of put it like this, like, when you think of, and I know you have people who watch UFC and MMA, right? But when you think of women's MMA, like, you typically think of Ronda Rousey, and Ronda hasn't been in MMA for years. Like, you know, can the average person name who the champion is? And I feel like it's the same thing with MK. It's like, I think that, like, they're amazing, not taking anything away from them, but there's just certain people that just have that thing about them that more eyeballs are on them. So I think name wise, it might be better to go with Tasha and Deonna, because Deonna, like, they both are champions in separately, and you know, so.
This is gonna be a fun one.
He's always invited.
No, but you know what? To this end, I actually think when I saw this team, I immediately was like, oh, they're a dream team. Like, this is Tasha and Deonna, you know, two women who were easily top 10, if not top 20 over the last couple of years on the PWI 250. You know, these two women, both former world champions, they have really been the flagship for this company. So this is as close to a mega team as you can have in the women's division for Impact. And so I think this is, and I almost made an analogy to Cody and Jay. The difference, of course, is Cody and Jay each have different story arcs. So we knew that their tag title really wouldn't last a long time in terms of being a team. But this team right here, which commentary was very clear in pointing out that while they haven't been together on screen, they are very good friends off screen. They have great chemistry. So I think things are being built for us to see them as a regular tag team. And we'll be obviously talking about the Knockouts World Champion in a little bit. Impact is very clear right now on who is bringing them attention. And I think this team, Tasha and Deanna, definitely fall into that category. And there's some great stories that they can tell as well.
I want to play
There's that.
devil's advocate
Okay.
because we
Play
talk
it.
about bringing eyes to the brand and them being great singles champions and all the whatnots. Wouldn't it bring more eyes to the tag team division if the current champions who are an actual team defeat these top tier singles wrestlers? Wouldn't that be a bigger talking point?
Well, to that point about them actually being a team, they were initially rivals, and they had a pretty significant rivalry that ended in a very violent match that after that they became a team, kind of like Sheamus and Cesaro, became the Bar, but they were rivals. And that's not even been a calendar year since that's happened. So they're still very much finding their role as a team. So I don't know that they're like the established team. They won the titles quickly, but they're not like super established. They're far more rivals that have just become a team. So I don't know if that particular narrative in terms of a story arc would fit here. And then again, let's also consider, for all the great things that Impact is doing, there's still a larger audience for Impact to reach. And I think these women as tag champions, given all they've done, it makes sense.
I am for it. What else are you looking forward to for Bound for Glory?
Well, there's a lot. I don't know if you guys have talked about this yet, but Will Ospreay is going to be on this card, and he's taking on Speedball Mike Bailey. And let me tell you, the year that Will Ospreay has had, when people start talking about Wrestler of the Year and things like this, you have to put him in the category and in the conversation, because what he has accomplished in terms of who he has defeated, the places he has appeared. I mean, here's a guy who's been on Wrestle Kingdom, All In, and now Bound for Glory, as well as Forbidden Door. And he's got wins this year alone over Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho. And he did it in less than 60 days. How many people on earth can actually say that? So he's had quite the year. And I don't want to get it wrong. I don't remember if he beat Okada this year or not, but he's had a massive year. And so now to take what he's doing into Impact is a major win for Impact, I think. So Will Ospreay anywhere is amazing. Speedball Mike Bailey is incredible. These two are going to make magic. They were originally supposed to have this match back in March at the Multiverse United event, but Will Ospreay was unable to be a part of that. So I think this is going to be, again, wall-to-wall an amazing card. That match is going to be really, really special.
Yeah, I agree with both. I almost forget. Deanna has had such an amazing career at Impact that you almost forget that she was at WWE NXT.
She was.
It speaks to, I mean, yes, I think she would do amazing at, I mean, you see somebody like Chelsea Green who's doing amazing. So yeah, anything is possible. But I don't know. I always kind of don't want to get too much into the weeds and say, oh, well, I want to see them here and all this other stuff when they're doing so well at the place that they're at. Obviously, there's always things that, are happening behind the scenes that we don't know. But, I guess we can have imagination. So I don't want to kill the imagination, Bosa, but I also don't want to put it, all the way out there, because Impact is an amazing place for women's wrestling as well.
Yeah, and to that particular point, I want to say that I think, and we'll obviously, once we get into the Trinity conversation, this I think will really become great. I am so grateful that there are so many places that are thriving in pro wrestling right now, that it's actually a good thing for varying people to actually be where they are. In the landscape that is WWE right now, there is the possibility that a Deanna, that a Tasha Steelz, that a Masha Slamovich could actually get lost in the sauce. I mean, think about how many incredible athletes on the women's side are currently lost. Xia Li is a great example. Tegan Knox, who's kind of just getting a little bit of shine, but she's struggling. Indy Hartwell, who was the NXT Women's Champion earlier this year, hasn't had a chance to really do a whole lot. And so NXT right now is the wing of WWE that's really allowing their women to shine. But even there, 4 or 5 matches on NXT, which is what we're going to see this coming Tuesday, is great. But you still have so many more female wrestlers that are in WWE alone. So I think having other places for these women to be able to shine, and then they can be, featured in such a major way like they are in Impact and like they are in other spaces, I think is a good thing. So I think there was a time where we could kind of say, hey, let's see what they would do in an NXT space or whatever. Now I'm like, let's enjoy them where they are, because where they are, they're clearly making an impact. Pun intended.
I mean, Bosa saying, or actually Dylan saying a thing, Mickey isn't being trained. I think we can all agree that, right? Like I don't see trend dropping, but I think what makes this great, just jumping into the Trinity conversation, Trinity and Mickey conversation, is that they're both amazing wrestlers, and this is going to be great wrestling. This is going to be an amazing match on so many levels. And while you guys talk about it, it's hot as AF out here, so I'm going to turn on my AC. So keep chatting, and excuse the pajamas. So yeah,
pajamas, awesome. So here it is.
Teleportation.
There it is. She's going to come back a new woman. Trinity, of course, in one of the major bouts at Bound for Glory against Mickie James. There's some commentary out there right now about Trinity from a couple of folks. Mickie James recently had an interview on a podcast called Under the Ring, and she said she is so glad that Trinity has joined the Impact roster. And then on Busted Open recently, Tommy Dreamer went so far as to say that Trinity is the biggest signing in the history of Impact Wrestling. So my question, firstly, is your thoughts on those two comments from Mickie and Tommy. And then secondly, what do you think of the run so far of Trinity and Impact?
I feel like those comments are kind of spot on, because the timing was just so perfect with everything that was going on in Trent's life and her taking a step back from wrestling. They capitalized on somebody who still had a lot to offer the industry, somebody that really that fans were really behind, really rallied behind, really wanting to see in the square circle. And they went and took her, and like we're seeing with Jade, they treated her like a star. They gave her the star treatment, and we now are bought in and we believe. And I think with this match against Mickie James, this is kind of just, this will be like her stamp, like getting a win over a legend in Mickie James will be a stamp. And on a side note, I feel like this can also be like a quote unquote swan song for Mickie and Impact. We already know where her husband is, and we know the Rumble is right around the corner. If we talk about it at some point, maybe I'll write an article about it. I think we see a moment with Trish and Mickie in the Rumble, and then possibly leading to like one more time in Philly. I can see that. So I feel like this win will just elevate Trent to the heights of being a Impact legend. So
I just want to go back to you writing an article. So you're writing an article this week, or is that for next week?
So this would be like way down the road. Way down the road. We're not even in January yet. So we talking about, we gotta let tomorrow happen. We gotta let Mickie lose and then go into the darkness, so I can be like, all right, let's speculate where she's gonna be, and then bam. Then
Gotcha.
of course Trish Stratus will be back by then, and bam. And I'm like, then I'm just fairy tale booking. And then when it comes to fruition, WWE, write me my check. That's all I ask.
Oh, okay. Boom, there it is. We really don't know how long Trinity's contract is. Remember when me and him had a 6-month? I mean, that's true. I mean, I haven't seen any reports how long her contract is, but she seems, I reposted a video that she posted today, Bound for Glory, and like, she is happy. Like, I haven't seen her this happy for a long time. So, I mean, maybe it is a short contract, but I don't envision her. Why would you go and maybe one day or eventually she does end back up at WWE because obviously her husband's there, etc. But why would you go somewhere that like it should? Again, we're talking about the imagination. Why would you go somewhere that you may or may not get a story? You may or not like you there. They've been 2 or 3, if not more times, where she sat on the bench just waiting months at a time. Why would you go back there versus somewhere that is, like you were saying, said somewhere that's treating you like a star? Like, why would you go to a relationship where you weren't getting no food, like you weren't being taken out on dates, you weren't get to being like you just sitting on the couch, just people serving you food, feeling you grapes, all this stuff. But who knows?
Said, let me respond to that though, because she had the money. She didn't leave and go to Impact for money. And I think that's what people keep missing out on. Not everybody in this space is solely money motivated. You know, again, it's one thing if you've been released from WWE. It's another thing if you choose to leave. She chose to leave, and she sat out for almost a year. You know, she wants to be somewhere where she can be acknowledged for the athlete and the wrestler that she is. And I think for her, you know, again, there are a number of perks that most of us probably aren't thinking about. For instance, you're not on the road every single week. So that affords her the opportunity to go places and do the things that she'd like to do and still walk around as the women's world champion. You know, from there, she gets to pursue her, you know, she can still model. She can be on runways. She can be on red carpets. She can do all the things and tape once a month and then show up for pay-per-view. That schedule, and then having your body being able to heal a lot more regularly. You know, she's not doing indies and things like that. She gets to go home. Like, for someone who's been on the road almost every day out of the week for 10 years, getting to go home, getting to do those things, and to Bobby's point, getting to have matches that she's never had before with a different caliber of athlete, it's a different ball game. It's a different ball game. And when you're being treated well, there's nothing to, I mean, you can still be friends with everybody, you know, but she doesn't have to go back. She doesn't have to go back. And I'd say this, they're calling it the Drew treatment. You could call it the Cody treatment as well. You go away, you really build your portfolio so that when you come back, you call it even the Jade treatment at this point. You know, you come back. I think she wants to build things such that if she ever goes back, there's only one place for her.
Right.
There's only one place. And you're going to have to move other people out of the way for her, you know, not move her out of the way for other people.
Right.
Agreed. What are you gonna say, Booney?
Oh no, I was agreeing. I was agreeing. You know, it's really, I can really just tell us about fulfillment. You know, more than anything, and she is fulfilled. You know, and when you're fulfilled and comfortable enough, where it's just like, I mean, yeah, it's cool to have more. You know, more money, more, but if your bills are paid, you good, you know, you're going to be more apt to be where you're fulfilled rather than going to the bigger check where the same kind of old stresses and frustrations and all that comes back into play. And that's where for depending on, you know, every performer is different, but I find the same thing with a lot of musicians too. You know what I mean? It's like really, I'm that type for sure, where it's like the money isn't the main priority, it's the fulfillment of, you know, what I'm doing. And as long as I'm comfortable financially and everything like that, and I'm fulfilled, then I'm good, you know, on that. So yeah.
And then when you've been to the mountaintop, like you already know what it is. Like I'm convincing my homeboy, he's done radio, and I'm like, yo, yeah, it's time to get back on the radio. And he's like, why? I've done it all, and I don't have to wake up every day and be somewhere. Like, I'm still making money, because he does voiceover work and stuff like that. He's like, I'm still making money from I'm actually making more money from the comfort of my own house. Like, I don't need the accolades, all this other stuff. So it's kind of different when you've hit WWE. You've been there for a long time. It wasn't like, you know, and you left on your, well, that's, you know, there's so much other things with that. But I mean, with that being said, either way, I think we can all sum it up that this is going to be a great match. Period.
Yeah. And this is their first one-on-one match
Yes.
as well too. So that's very exciting. You can't go back in the archives and find, that. So with this and with the level that they're both on right now, and just the respect that they have, it's going to be very exciting. I think that it's just amazing for the both of them. It's really dope.
Oh my goodness. Yo, Booty, we need to get that shirt. We need to get that shirt this weekend.
Hey.
Oh, geez. All right. What do we got next?
Well, if we're talking about women, I suppose we should also get into this other interesting piece of news. We talked about one person who chose to leave. Another person who was recently released from WWE is the artist formerly known as Lacey Evans. Her contract expired on August the 16th, and she's now coming out to actually talk about her time with WWE. At one point, prior to WWE, she had a pretty difficult past, and she kind of allowed that to be chronicled on WWE. But she's been talking quite a bit, and this statement is what's been going around on X or Twitter, where she said that, in her words, quote, "This same mouth is the same mouth that I had backstage." She says she can't tell you how many fights she almost got into, and she said she verbally told members of the WWE, "I'll work at McDonald's before I ever sit back and have anybody talk to me the way you talk to me, because you feel like I owe you something." And she had quite a bit to say amid all of these things that she said. Perhaps what's most interesting are two things. Number one, she had this interview on the Power Alphas podcast, which is hosted by two former WWE employees, Tino Sabatelli and one Mandy Rose. And speaking of Mandy Rose, she, like Mandy Rose, has a fan time account right now. And apparently there's talk of her and Mandy perhaps doing a photo shoot in the future.
I mean, her, Mandy, and Dana Brooke also has one.
Yes.
We posted a picture on social media on Twitter, and that picture is still going. I think it might be at like 20K views, just the picture, not even the fan time account. Just like, yo, go and support the girl. And
they've gone forward.
They have gone forward, and I mean, it's crazy to me. It's funny though, in a society where I don't know about anywhere else, but in America, it we're spending all this money on a lot of other things. The PPP checks are gone, the unemployment checks are gone, things are getting more expensive. But for some reason, people could find some change, some good change to give to Mandy and Dana and Lacey at like kudos. Like, I don't know, maybe we have said do a fan time account for WWT.
Here we go. It comes full circle. It comes full circle here. What?
Maybe that's coming in 2024. That will be the debut article. So that's just a suggestion. I was putting it out there.
When did I become this person? When did this happen?
Is that? The set in the streets?
I don't know. But you know what? Just to get back on Lacey, this quote is very long, and I know this was like the actual video was circulating, I think, as early as Tuesday this week. And when you look at the video, like, I don't know what it is, but Macy has like one of those voices that automatically just makes me tune out. And I'm just looking at how aggressive she looks the entire time. I'm like, yo, why are you so mad? You in the podcast, Mike? Talk normal. Like she was so aggressive saying this stuff, and she was saying and how hard she works and things like that. And how she said she asked for her release and that she wanted to kind of slip out the back door and not make a fuss about it. But one thing I wanted to drive home, and I know this podcast will probably pick up steam in more months when they actually get more guests and things like that. But it's called the Power Alphas podcast, and I feel like if you're an alpha, you don't have to go around telling anybody you're alpha. That's just me. I don't think you have to regurgitate that thought if you embody all those characteristics. People just know. So if you know, you know. So Lacey's career was one thing or another. I think there was a lot of hope for the Lacey Evans character at different times. I feel like the sassy Southern Belle was a perfect gimmick
That was the
when
one.
it was around, especially in black and gold NXT days. I think they made the criminal mistake, which Vince has done a lot of times, where it's like, hey, I see this flashy new toy. I want them on main roster, and you really don't have a vision or a plan for that person. So I
Yeah.
think if she would have stayed at NXT a little bit longer, she could have reached the heights of NXT Women's Champion and kind of got ingratiated into the main roster crowd instead of just being thrust into it and then being thrust into programs with the elites, the four horsewomen and things like that, where it's sink or swim. And of course, they're going to elevate that brand there. But I feel like I think more people, Mandy included, possibly Dana Brooke included, will obviously be telling their stories here, and it'll drive the right engagement. But that talking point alone about just having a personality that rub people the wrong way and getting into fights backstage, however you want to perceive it, it's like she's had chances. She's had a bunch of chances. She was repackaged multiple times and given different gimmicks to kind of come out there. And I think what her issue was is she didn't make the audience emote. She didn't make them feel. And I think that was through tying in the patriotic gimmicks. I think the sassy Southern Belle was a thing that should have stayed from the beginning. And that's just
Yep.
how
I
feel about
agree.
it.
I agree. I agree.
I mean, yeah, I definitely Dylan saying Lacey was too big for her boots. I mean, I don't know about the backstage stuff. I mean, we weren't there. I don't want to comment on that. But her gimmicks, her characters were really good. And I am curious. I definitely like. There's a couple of podcasts that I have to listen to. I still have to listen to Bianca and Kiki's interview. Also, anybody, I don't know if anybody saw the Ric Flair before all the drama happened. Ric Flair on Breakfast Club. But anyways, there's a couple of interviews that I do want to check out. But it seemed like, despite the fact of the possible back locker room stuff, she was getting more chances than a lot of women. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, I've always been saying, I wish there could be like a show as far as talking about the writers and the background stuff, because that might be even more entertaining than what we see in the ring. But she'll figure it out. I think she seems like the type that she's not gonna. She seems like the type that she's gonna tell her story once, and then she's gonna move on and go on with the rest of her life. Whereas some people, not just wrestlers, like they really harp on the letting go process from whatever company or whatever big thing happened, versus like, all right, this happened, let me move on. So
And she says she's making smart investments. Like she has properties, she's opened up a business with her WWE income. So I think this is the case of like people who don't need wrestling. Maybe they weren't in it for the wrestling accolades, and they found ways to kind of pivot, and that's always good to see as well.
Yeah. I don't say it's not needing wrestling. I would say that it's a smart, it's smart business period, regardless if you're wrestling or not. Say if you're working for a company for, I don't know, 15, 20 years, like when you retire, you want to live off those checks, but also having multiple, I've been saying this a lot, multiple streams of income and passive income is always key. Because do you want to be the senior citizen that's just sitting in the apartment with the old people's home, or do you want to be the senior citizen that's like, flying off to Italy and staying there for 6 months? Like, I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to be sitting in the old people's home just chilling. Like, I want to have options. So that's why multiple streams of income and passive income, regardless if you're a wrestler or not, like you should be, like you can have teams work on that for you while you're wrestling. So it's a smart move, whereas wrestlers of generations ago, it was just all about the wrestling, which is good. It made them great wrestlers. But then when they were done or their bodies were done, like, now you're having, crazy matches at a certain age that your body's like, what are you doing, bro? So let's talk about the Bellas. You want to get into that? Or the Garcia things?
Yeah. So Nikki Garcia was reflecting on changing her name and leaving WWE, stating that basically they received a legal letter from WWE about the name change ahead of their exit. And when she was talking about it, she said, I think it's different for men than women. There was never even a conversation. I think a lot of us, we thought, oh, maybe there will be a conversation because we have such a huge brand and we were actually making WWE a lot of money. So we actually thought there was going to be a conversation of, okay, you guys aren't resigning. Let's talk about the name. Maybe when you do future projects, we take a percentage, you keep the name, blah, blah, blah. I'll be honest. I got a lawyer letter 4 hours before my contract was ending. They were seizing it all. I keep that letter in my office so I can always see it and just know that as I enter this new chapter, it's like I get to see what wasn't even talked about with something I built for 20 years. But I know that I have the power as a woman to build something else for the next 20 years. It was upsetting because we were attached, but also I get I get a business like, hey, this is our platform. I get it. I'm very understanding in that way. That is their IP, but we would have continued to have built that if there was a talk. So definitely there was some hurt feelings about it, that there wasn't even a conversation about it. You know, it was just like, hey, we taking the name and that's that. After all that was done.
Yeah, I kind of wonder about the exit because there's a couple of things that are happening. Obviously, they started very young, so I'm sure there was some paperwork that they signed off on that they didn't even realize, like ownership of names. So that's one thing. But it seems like in their exit, like how they exit or what transpired in their exit, that WWE is like, yeah, no, we're not even going to entertain this. Like, because it doesn't. There's something that transpired that we'll never know. Like, if it was as simple as like, we're no longer renewing our contract, and then WWE is now like, okay, well, you're not getting your names. Like, it doesn't make sense, because it's like, if you don't renew your contract, but you keep the names, and then like you're saying, Booney, you can negotiate, like, look, you keeping the names, but we get a percentage every month because this is part of our IP. That makes sense money wise, right? Yeah. So unless they're envisioning that TKO wouldn't do something like that. Like, there's several different things that are at play there. Like, what I would like, Nikki's talking about the letter, but I would almost want to see the original contract, which they're never going to show, obviously. But what did that look like? So there's a lot of different things at play. Definitely, if you built something for 20 years, it's definitely you're gonna have some feelings. But the good thing is they built something for 20 years that is face recognition as well. It's not necessarily like a football player or even a wrestler, a gimmick that you don't necessarily look like Rey Mysterio, for instance. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people have no idea what he looks like underneath his mask. Yeah. They built a face recognition, reality show, all this stuff, and so many other passive and business incomes that it's like, they have I don't know when that show is airing, but they have a reality show talking about twin love that's coming up. So they've been doing deals for a long time that they're still in a good position either way. So, and also let's be honest, we're still gonna refer to them as the Bella twins. Like,
of course, yeah. Their first names, Nikki and Brie, are solidified fully. Right. Yeah.
So yeah, what do you guys think?
Well, y'all don't know what Ray looked like underneath this mask?
I'm saying some people don't.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Some people don't.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Sure. Yeah.
Wait, hold on, Professor. I gave a whole long educational rant, and then the thing that you stick on was some people don't know what. Wait, what? That's it?
That stood out to me. That he had a whole run without a mask, like a whole era without maskless Ray was a thing. Like, all right. Like,
well, remember, maskless Ray also happened during the time when most people weren't watching WCW. So, that 99 2001. So that's hilarious, because TK, you did give a very good explanation.
Wow.
It was a very good explanation. Yeah. The only other thing I was going to say to that was the good thing about entertainment, not just pro wrestling, is people do name changes all the time, and it's interesting. People tend to flow in entertainment with, okay, well, whatever you want to be called now, that's what we're going to call you. Unless you have a scenario, and the one I'm thinking of now is like Kanye West, where we still call him Kanye West, even though he's saying call me Ye or Ye or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's still calling him Kanye West. But for the most part, when people make name changes, people kind of roll with it. So, you know, I don't think it's one of the reasons why I don't think Bree and Nikki really lost much, you know, by changing their name to Garcia.
How many
I don't
times
think
did
so.
he
I think
change
they're
his
just scared
name?
about it. They're just like, clearly they're upset about it. 'Cause I feel like this would have happened. Did that happen this year? They officially departed?
Yes.
It feels like it was so much longer ago than that, that they would have departed. And it just speaks volumes to, like, you can't assume that you're bigger than the brand. And I have to feel like conversation stalled or went somewhere, because if they were going to keep the Bella name, like in theory, that would be what's a Legends contract, which they re-up and do those things at the table all the time. But I think WWE knew that they wouldn't be appearing or doing any type of traveling with them anymore, especially with Daniel going across the way. And I think this is much ado about nothing, personally. But it's just them telling a side of the story and getting the engagement and behind it and stuff like that, and then we're talking about it.
Well, I mean, they were also asked the question, so there's that. But the next question is, because they're pretty much on a Legends contract, and with that being said, why? I mean, that's also like on the flip side. Why did you make the decision to no longer be a part of the brand? Because it's like you could be part of WWE, but they were still doing everything else that they wanted to do. It wasn't like WWE had them handcuffed. It's like, well, you're part of this Legends brand and you can't do this and you can't do this show, as far as I know. So it just kind of seems like, well, or was WWE taking a percentage because they were part of the Legends contract of everything else that they were doing? So like that's another curious thing I wonder. Yeah.
You guys remember this year was so much has happened this year. This year was the 30th anniversary of Raw. And remember during the 30th anniversary of Raw, there was a lot of talk and chatter about where were the women? Where were the women on the 30th anniversary of Raw? And the Bellas were actually quite vocal on the socials about it. They were vocal about it. They also talked about how they were asked to be there, but WWE at that time knew they couldn't because they already had some other PR engagement or what have you. And then it was shortly after that it was announced that they were parting ways with the WWE. So to your point, TK, it kind of feels like there was something else that was likely going on that we weren't privy to. And, you know, because again, most Legends on Legends contracts don't speak out about, you know, their issues with anything relative to WWE programming because they're on that contract. So I think when I saw them do that, that's where I was like, oh, that's interesting, you know, and then it led to what we saw later. So
yeah,
interesting. We'll see. Dylan said if you check Lola Vice's latest tweet,
2 thumbs up.
Oh, well then, now I'm going to go and see what y'all's talking about. But what do we got next while I do that?
I missed whatever we've talked about. Have we talked about Roman Reigns yet?
No.
We have not.
We have not. Well, there are 2 pieces of news about Roman Reigns. The first of which being Roman Reigns being involved in the main event of a big event that's happening in 2 weeks' time, WWE Crown Jewel, where he will be in the main event defending defending the Universal Championship again. Excuse me, someone tried to correct me and they were wrong. The undisputed WWE Universal Championship against LA Knight. Oh, that's not Roman.
That's what Dylan was talking about. There we go.
That's also not LA Knight. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So it should be a great match For
Professor is
sure.
trying to stay professional and talk about this crown jewel main event, and you just interrupt us with cheeks. Like, what are we doing?
It was Dylan's fault. Dylan was the one who brought it up. I was like, wait, what are we? I was like, oh, well, now I have to share. Because I feel like, and for those people who are just listening, it's pretty much Lola Vice on Twitter. And she was working out, but she's also shaking the cheeks. So that's all Dylan. Dylan brought that up. Dylan, you need to say, like, stuff like that, you need to prep it like, hey, this might throw the professor off type thing. Just saying.
It's all
Go
good.
This is going to be a running bit. We're trying to throw the professor off. Last week it was Pound Town, and now you're doing this. So.
Seems like the shows I'm on, that is a thing. People like trying to throw me off, so I'm for
Every
it.
time I listen to NLE Chopper, if anybody knows who he is, I think of the professor now because that whole channel is very Pound Town-esque heavy. So yeah, maybe one day.
Okay. Oh, well. So any thoughts about LA Knight being in the main event of Crown Jewel?
I'm excited for him. Do I think he's gonna win this one? No, but this is just all adding up to what I've been saying about LA Knight from the beginning. That he was just go shoot up, like no matter what, it was bound to happen. And yeah, I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited to see where the story is gonna continue from there. Very interested in that. But hey, you already know that I'm an LA Knight fan. I've been rooting for him this whole entire time. So this is a very good look for him. Roman's gonna do his thing like he's always been. And so yeah, I think this is one of the matches, Roman Reigns matches, that one that I'm really excited about, where it's just like, oh, I've never seen these two in the ring before. I don't know what the chemistry is going to be like with all that. So I'm actually looking forward to this match more than a lot of Roman's matches I've seen in a while. And this is coming from a Roman fan. So, I am happy for the both of them because, they're the shit and it's going to be dope. So, LA Knight, do your thing. I highly doubt that title is not at Crown Jewel, but do your thing and get set up for the next. Like get your shine on. Get your shine on.
Yeah, that's my question. Kind of going back to what Dylan said. It's kind of one of those things where does he go? Because it's like it's almost kind of like a ceiling thing to him. Like I'm an LA Knight fan as well. From before he was signed to WWE, and I'm happy for him, but just kind of looking at the landscape of like the top superstars, like I don't see him there. Like I see him, he's not a mid card, but I shouldn't say I don't see him there. I don't see WWE putting him there. And so Dylan's saying, well, after that's done, have him go on to Raw, take Seth's title. Like, do you think that's a possibility? And or where do you see him going?
Honestly, I'm not too sure because the truth be told, I disagree in some ways that like really he's gonna be put at that top because the people the people want him there. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to deliver. The thing is, it's just like we haven't seen a rise like his come out of nowhere like this before. So I don't think it's really fair to just kind of predict based on what we've seen happen in the history of wrestling before. Maybe we're going to see something totally different that, we can't really predict because we didn't predict this. It wasn't predicted for this, to come up the way it has. And so I just feel like, sure, yeah, he could go over to Raw if it was against Seth. Either way, he's gonna be on top, and it might be very interesting seeing someone right there at the top that doesn't even have the belt, and that's something to even say in history later. Like, how is this dude just like maintaining that top card without even having a belt for however many months or whatever. Like, that wasn't really seen before. That might happen. Either way, LA Knight's gonna be at the top. Whatever it looks like, he's gonna be at the top. It just might look different from what we've been accustomed to seeing, because it already is like that.
All right, I want to be clear about this. I wasn't here for this LA Knight being thrusted into the Bloodline saga, an angle that we're curating here because we're so close to Mania season. But now I feel like this makes perfect sense. Some people would look at the Crown Jewels and the Saudi shows as like they eradicated maybe 2 out of the 4 big 4s because they put so much effort and time into this card. So you probably move Survivor Series out of the big 4 now with this show. But to me, and I agree with that comment that said Roman's going to make LA Knight look very good. But this is essentially a throwaway match because titles rarely change hands on these Saudi shows. So I think it will elevate LA Knight to say, hey, he can hang with Roman, but there's no doubt in my mind there's no plans for him to dethrone Roman within the next 6 to 9 months. That's just not going to happen. And for me, I'll be way more pessimistic. This is not yes movement to me. This is not Daniel Bryan and what we saw with that, the fans almost really just hijacking shows for that and really catapulting him to those stratospheres. I think LA Knight will swim. We'll see in this match how he hangs with Roman, and Roman will make him look good to say, like, hey, he should be there. I don't even know if he's the man to go challenge Seth if he wins the Rumble, honestly, because what they're doing with Drew and how they've elevated Shinsuke, I didn't even pull the trigger there. I really don't know. I think a big feather in the cap would be if he was the one to end Gunther's title reign, because honestly, I think Gunther's probably the betting favorite to win the Rumble. I think whatever Gunther decides to do from that aspect from winning the Rumble, he'll go on to those heights. After we especially echoed this earlier this year, as far as Will Ospreay probably being Wrestler of the Year, I think Gunther is right there in that conversation as well, as far as Wrestler of the Year. But am I excited for this match? Sure. I think there'll be some type of shenanigans as we continue to peel back the onion of the Bloodline saga, but this is the perfect spot to do it because you did it with Roman plenty of times before with just Logan Paul last year. It's a title match. It kind of keeps you in that spotlight because this is a weird place for LA Knight, kind of being like right on the cusp, but we know these plans have been set in stone for the greater part of the year for next year's Mania. So I think this event will help keep some shine on him, because I think what's going to happen in Mania season, unless they have plans for him winning the Royal Rumble, it's going to fade fast.
I will say this. I think, when we start talking about wrestling history and the like, I think things have been done in such a way to cause us to forget certain elements of wrestling history. For instance, your first opportunity at a title usually isn't the most memorable opportunity. Again, I go back to, we mentioned Daniel Bryan winning the WWE title at SummerSlam, and very few people remember that because that same night he gets cashed in on by Randy Orton, and away we go. But all of that leads us to the WrestleMania that, they didn't plan for, but we as the fans did. So I think what this match is designed to do, it's not necessarily designed to crown LA Knight as the world champion. I think if anything, it's a test to see, okay, the fans have talked about it all this time. Now, are you really ready to hang in this main event sphere with Roman? If you are, that's going to really help pepper the plans, I think, for the next 6 to 9 months, because whether or not he wins the world title, I think people want to see him with a championship. That championship could be the U.S. title, could be the Intercontinental title. I don't think it has to be the World Heavyweight title or the Universal title. So I think, again, fans can act sometimes like, oh my God, we want it now, we want it now, we want it now. But what we really want is we want to go through that whole rise and then celebrate the apex. I was in New Orleans when Daniel Bryan won the world title. and it was a happening. People were walking through the streets before the show screaming yes. And we were in a restaurant and somebody started asking, why are all these people chanting yes? Like it took over the city. It was that kind of thing. And so I think those kinds of things end up forcing WWE's hands. It seems to happen like every 5 years. 5 years ago, it was Kofi Mania, 2019, that is. And so I say 5 years because it'll be 5 years at this WrestleMania. What will be the moment that, the fans really demand? It was almost Sammy this year. It was that battle between Sammy and Cody. So I think this time they have been really watching to see, will this LA Knight thing stick? Just like would the Sammy thing stick? It worked out for Sammy because he ended up in the main event of Mania anyway, night one. So we'll see what this does for LA Knight. But I do think if LA Knight doesn't show up, then this will be a failed test. Showing up for him isn't winning the match. Showing up for him is showing that he can hang.
Yep.
And if he can hang, this will really result in something very, very good for him.
I agree.
Question: how many more years do we have left on this this contract, the Saudi contract?
It was supposed to be a 10-year deal, from what I understood. Okay. And oh God, I don't remember.
We're past the 5-year mark, I believe.
Definitely past the 5-year mark. Definitely past the 5-year mark.
So the question is, and I'm sure Bosa is going to chime in with the answers, how many years we're at right now. But do you think they're going to, now that WWE is with TKO, do you think that they're going to renew this contract? And do you think Saudi's going to want to renew this contract?
Yes and yes.
Yeah.
There are 40 million reasons why in every show. and one of the things that TKO has talked about is they like the international presence. They talk about what UFC has done internationally, and what WWE has done internationally in the last 2 years has been really, really special. So I think Saudi, now that those Saudi shows are starting to count for something, I think they're going to want to take advantage of that as well. So I think we'll see more of it.
I didn't realize the time is upon us. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
UFC 294 is in Abu Dhabi tomorrow, like early morning. So yeah.
I guess the only other thing.
Huh?
That's what you wanted to talk about, Sid?
Oh no, I was just echoing the fact that they absolutely will renew the contract. Absolutely.
Gotcha.
International aspects of everything alone, like to get more WWE shows international, like they're doing UFC. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I'll give you that. What were you gonna say, Professor?
I was just going to say, the only other thing I was going to mention is all the talk of international. Well, Bad Bunny doesn't just have a new album, but he now has a playable version as part of WWE 2K23. The Bad Bunny edition is actually available today. So if you guys are into that, you can certainly get that and play as Bad Bunny on WWE's 2K23.
I think
reminds me I need a PS5. I need a PS5 by the end of the weekend.
Well, what happened
So
to
if
your
you're out
sugar
there and you're watching and you happen to be of the Sugar Mama-esque, DM me because I need a PS5.
Oh,
Bad.
This is what we do. We solicit on WWT. Okay.
I mean, that's because until we get the fan time account, until we get the fan time account,
there will be no such thing.
Fan time. Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Unless I can set the membership rate to like how much a PS5 costs? $4.99. That one subscriber, and that's it.
But aren't you in control of what you give to your?
Yeah, you show what you want to show.
Yeah,
you don't have to show anything.
You can show off all your T-shirts.
This is true.
Yeah,
there's an audience for that.
Yeah, there it is. So
all your bow ties.
Fan time coming in 2024. With that being said, We do have there's a couple announcements. I was like, what else? A couple announcements. We just dropped an interview with Ruthless Lala. Really great interview. Like I said, she's been in the game for. Are you looking at the picture, Professor?
That's quite the pose. It's just,
Look,
wow.
they said in the pictures. Look, Ruthless Lala has been in the game for 20 years. Definitely a great interview. It's about an hour and some change long, so definitely check that out. And then also tomorrow we have a Bound for Glory post show, but also tomorrow you're gonna like this, Professor. We're gonna have a Pound Town Q&A. Ariane coming on tomorrow. The time we don't have the time just yet, but definitely keep it locked to all our socials. We'll have the time and all that stuff and the link. But one of the reasons we're having this is because the pay-per-view for Pound Town Wrestling is happening on Sunday. So we're gonna have a giveaway. So you're gonna be able to what happens is you have to join us live. Come with all your questions. You can kind of be like the interviewer as well. Ask Ariane any questions you want to ask her. And we're going to have the link for the pay-per-view that's going to be happening on Sunday. But we're also going to be giving away free, free codes. Discount codes, not even discount codes. Free codes to watch the pay-per-view. But you have to watch us live in order to get those free codes. So that is going to be happening tomorrow. So keep it locked to our social media platforms, WWT Talk Pod. To get the time and all the things. But yeah, those two things are happening tomorrow as well. Oh, dang, I forgot to add the other stuff. As well, on Monday, we're going to have a WOW post show happening at 11:30 a.m. And then we also are going to have a Total Divas watch along happening on Friday. Oh, sorry, I'm lying. Happening on Wednesday at 7 p.m. So a Total Divas watch along. If you haven't seen Total Divas for a long period of time, you get to watch it with me. And I also don't know if this is going to be a good idea because I was doing a tester with Catfish yesterday, and wow, I didn't realize how much I do talk to the television, and my opinions are not filtered. So we'll see how long this lasts. It's only going to be on Twitch. So just like I said, keep it locked to all our social medias for all the details. With that being said, Seti said, any meet and greets for the weekend?
I don't know how to follow any of that because Pound Town giveaway just sounds vile. It just sounds completely vile.
With a Q&A.
With a Q&A. If you want to know the details about Pound Town, yeah, ask all the questions.
Oh man!
So that means you're going to be showing up to the Q&A.
Every week we stray further from the grace of God on WWT Live.
All lies. The professor. Let me tell you something. And then so it's I do wish one day. Actually, no, I'm lying. Just like WWE, we're never gonna know what happens behind the scenes. But there's certain things that happen behind the scenes that I must say. I'm gonna give the professor his flowers. I must say that the professor brings it back to center with just like there's something that transpired. I sent him a message and he said one thing. I was like, you know what, you're right. Like he brings like thankfully I'm not like so over the top that I'm just like, petty TK all the time. Petty TK just rarely comes out. But sometimes, like, if it wasn't for the professor, I'll tell you what, like, I don't know if WT would even be around. So so with that being said, I want to give Professor the flowers because he definitely brings it back to center, as well as Booney too. But I, for some reason, I think because Professor the East Coast, I be sending him stuff, and then he sends in the morning. It's like it's the morning with the word. Like it's very church-like. I like it.
Yeah.
As Dylan says, Q&A has been in the streets.
Nobody now.
All right. With that being said, Booney, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Booney Mayfield. You can check me out on all streaming platforms. If you like Spotify, check out the This Is Booney Mayfield playlist. That'll give you a nice variety of what's going on. So yeah, check me out on all that good stuff.
And Seti said, other than being in the streets, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter at says CEWD_SAYS, on the gram at Said Is The Answer. There's an article up right now on WWTalkPod.com where you can look at my thoughts on the PWI 250 rankings. What is happening?
You get a whole bed.
Is this a music bed?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna keep going. Also look at my work on DailyWT.com. Also check out my website, 7dwelton.com. You can see all my journalism efforts, journalism work. Check out my friend's podcast, The Athlete's Journey, with Travis W. Reed. We can talk. If you want to learn about my journalistic career, my time as a former athlete, now washed athlete, go check it out. Shout out to my tag team partner, Jacob Lawrence. He just dropped an article today about the WNBA and Las Vegas Aces champion, Aja Wilson, and why she should have her own signature sneaker. Check that out as well. I believe that is on steelcrew.com.
All right. This music bed is courtesy of the Booney Mayfield. So check out all his stuff. Professor, where
you guys, of course, I'm sorry. Yeah, you can check me out at Bonnerfied on all the socials. You can check out my commentary work with Southern Honor Wrestling and IWE on IWTV. That's all great. That's all there right now. Check out my work with Battle Slam on Fight TV, The Nightmare Factory on YouTube, and there might, depending upon how they rock this, there might be an announcement next week coming. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, some cool things happening, of course, here on WWT Live and more.
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth completely.
Oh.
Hey, shout out to Dylan, man, because Dylan would just hit me in like the middle of the night, and I'll have like 24 reaction videos and get some things that I don't even know that I'm doing. Like I literally don't know what I'm doing, and it's like it's meaningful. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, and we do have a folder, by the way. I forgot to give you all the link. We do have a folder because Dylan he be clogging up my WhatsApp. I was like, look, let me just give you a folder because I don't want to delete them because there's some that Dylan did from back in the day that I have, but he gave like a ridiculous amount. So now we have a folder. The official producer is doing it. And with that being said, thank you guys for joining us on a Friday WWT Live. Like I said, look out for all those shows that's happening, and even more is to come. This is a good thing. We need some more. We need some Perch music. We need some Professor music. We added more to this. But you can find me on everything at TK Trinidad. Yeah, for sure. Definitely check out our website. We have a couple articles on there, www.talkpod.com. We have Sed's article. We also have Candace's article, and we have another article that dropped from Sydney. So you can definitely check out all of that stuff, and all our social media platforms at WWTalkPod. Other than that, thank you guys for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Till next time, guys.
Sugar Mama, stop in.
And
Women's Wrestling